Stop scrolling for a moment, because what I'm about to say might explain the battle you've been too ashamed to talk about, the one that starts right after you pray. You draw closer to God, your heart opens, your spirit feels clean, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, a wave of desire crashes over you. You weren't even thinking that way. You didn't plan it. But something in your body ignites, pulling you toward what you've already walked away from. And you start to wonder, why now? Why here? Why me when I'm trying to do right? Listen carefully, chosen one. This is not random. It's not just hormones. It's not weakness. It's a strategy, a spiritual counterattack triggered by your awakening. Every time you rise higher in light, darkness sends its oldest weapon, distorted desire, not to destroy your body, but to distract your purpose. Because desire isn't evil, it's energy, holy energy. And the enemy knows if he can twist that energy before it reaches its divine alignment, he can detour your destiny before it matures. You've probably noticed it, the timing is too precise. The moment you commit to purity, to prayer, to peace, suddenly the temptations multiply, old flames reappear, your dreams get heavier, your thoughts feel invaded. That's not coincidence, that's recognition. The spirit realm knows your light is growing, and it's trying to interrupt the frequency. But here's what most people never realize. The very thing that feels like your greatest weakness might actually be your greatest test and your greatest weapon. Because that same fire that the enemy tries to corrupt was originally meant to create. It was given to you to build life, birth, purpose, and manifest divine intimacy with the Creator Himself. You are not dirty. You are not broken. You are sacred energy in motion. That intensity you feel isn't punishment, it's potential. Heaven is teaching you to master your own fire, not extinguish it. If this message is already stirring something inside you, if your body has ever felt like a battlefield and your spirit like a soldier caught in the crossfire, you're not alone. Type 777 inches, the comments to acknowledge that this truth resonates. It's not just a number, it's an agreement, a signal that you're ready to reclaim the energy that was once used against you. And if you feel led, your super thanks isn't just support. It's participation in spreading this message of awakening to other chosen ones still trapped in shame about the very thing they were born to transmute into light. Stay with me until the end, because before this message closes, we'll pray not for your desire to die, but for it to transform, for you to rise as both human and holy. So now, chosen one, ask yourself this. What if the very passion that has caused you the most guilt was the proof that heaven trusted you with more energy than most? God's chosen ones, are your sexual desires a divine test? The enemy doesn't waste arrows on the empty sky. He knows exactly where the light lives, and he aims for it. I have seen it, how darkness studies the flame before trying to smother it. He does not concern himself with those already wandering far from the path. No, he studies the ones who carry purpose, who breathe with heaven's rhythm, whose very silence disturbs the kingdom of shadows. You, yes, you are one of them. The glow in your eyes, the stirring in your chest, the unexplainable sense that you were sent rather than merely born, all of it testifies to a calling that hell cannot imitate, but desperately tries to interrupt. When he cannot steal your destiny, he distracts you from it. That's how the battle begins, not with thunder, but with whispers. Thoughts that sound like your own begin to bend truth. Desires that once were pure begin to disguise themselves as comfort. You start mistaking ache for need, and what was once a sacred longing becomes an invitation to exile. But the enemy's greatest illusion is subtlety. He hides the chain beneath a promise of relief. You were chosen to shatter chains, not to wear them. That's why your warfare feels personal. You were born with the assignment to set others free, so he tempts you with the very cage you were destined to destroy. He knows that purity in a chosen vessel is power, and power terrifies him. Remember the words of Christ in Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. When your heart is clear, vision follows. You hear the whisper of heaven in frequencies others overlook, but when the spirit is clouded, that frequency is scrambled. It's like an instrument, slightly out of tune, the melody of your purpose starts to distort. I once thought temptation was a random storm, but now I see it's a mirror reflecting where healing still needs to reach. The enemy is not creative, he is calculated. He studies patterns, lineages, histories. He has read the footnotes of your bloodline. He knows the trauma your ancestors carried, the silent vows made in pain, the moments you questioned your worth. And so, like a spiritual algorithm, he feeds you what fits the very desire that matches your unhealed hunger. Tell me, have you noticed how precise it feels? As if the darkness knows your taste, your timing, your tendencies. That's not coincidence. That's surveillance. But here's what hell underestimates: your awareness. The moment you see the pattern, the spell begins to break. Awareness is a weapon. That's why Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. This is not a carnal weakness, it's spiritual warfare disguised as intimacy. And once you discern the disguise, you begin to reclaim your authority. Caravaggio, the Renaissance painter who wrestled with both sin and sanctity, once said that light is only visible because darkness exists to frame it. Perhaps that is your test. The contrast reveals what cannot be dimmed. Every time you resist what tries to enslave you, the architecture of heaven in you grows stronger. Like a cathedral rising from ruins, each no to temptation becomes a stone of sacred discipline, proof that holiness is not perfection, but perseverance. Still, the battle hurts, doesn't it? You feel the duality inside, spirit against flesh, destiny against distraction. Romans 7:22-23 echoes this war. For in my inner being I delight in God's law, but I see another law at work in me. The tension itself is holy. It proves you're alive, that something divine still burns within you. Those who are spiritually dead feel no conflict. Only those carrying heaven's fire know what it is to wrestle for clarity. I've learned something. Desire itself isn't the enemy. It's directionless desire that destroys. God doesn't shame your passion, He refines it. Passion was never meant to vanish. It was meant to be sanctified. When desire meets discipline, it transforms into devotion. Psalm 37:4 whispers this secret: delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Notice, it doesn't say He will erase them, He will align them. He recalibrates your hunger toward heaven's frequencies. There's a symphony by Arvo Pärt called Spiegel. I am Spiegel, mirror in the mirror. It repeats a simple melody that seems endless, like an echo returning to itself. That's how spiritual temptation works: repetitive, hypnotic, circular, until you decide to interrupt the pattern. The sound only ends when you stop feeding it. So too does the enemy's rhythm end when you stop dancing to its tune. You didn't come into this world to blend in. You were designed to vibrate differently, like a tuning fork of spirit that awakens resonance wherever it's struck. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's divine calibration. That's why things affect you deeply, why certain atmospheres exhaust you, why silence sometimes feels crowded. You are tuned to frequencies others can't hear. It's both your gift and your warfare. And yes, the attack intensifies before the breakthrough. Why? Because proximity to purpose provokes opposition. Before Jesus began his ministry, he was led into the wilderness not to be defeated, but to demonstrate dominion. Luke 4:1-2 tells us, he was full of the Holy Spirit when the testing began. The Spirit didn't abandon him in temptation. The Spirit led him there to prove that desire can be holy when surrendered. So perhaps your struggle isn't proof of failure, it's proof of formation. God is building within you the strength to carry the next dimension of your calling. What if what feels like warfare is actually training? What if temptation is the weight that builds your spiritual muscle? Remember, resistance only exists where potential does. And when you fall, because sometimes you will, grace doesn't end, it begins again. The difference between guilt and conviction is simple. Guilt pushes you away from God. Conviction pulls you closer. You'll know the difference by the peace that follows. For 2 Corinthians 12-9 reminds us, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Even your lowest moment can become holy ground when surrendered. I have seen too many chosen ones mistake delay for disqualification. But listen carefully. A distracted chosen one is only delayed, not denied. Heaven doesn't revoke what it anointed. The fire may flicker, but it never dies. All it takes is one moment of return, one whispered yes, and heaven rushes back into alignment. Purity, then, is not a past achievement. It's a daily awakening, a return to clarity, to wholeness, to resonance with the divine rhythm you were created to echo. And now, breathe. The war is not over, but your eyes are open. What was once a hidden battlefield is now a revealed classroom. The same energy that once fueled your temptation can now fuel your transformation. You were never meant to suppress your fire, only to aim it. And when you do, the very thing that once enslaved you becomes testimony, a sacred scar that glows instead of bleeds. So, to you, the chosen one, hearing these words, the question no longer is, "Why am I tempted?" but, "What truth is this temptation trying to keep me from?" Your story is still unfolding, your spirit still learning the language of freedom. Share what you've discovered. Speak your battles, your breakthroughs, your lessons. Somewhere, another chosen one waits in the dark, listening for a voice like yours to remind them. The fire within was never meant to be hidden. And when they find it again, through your light, that is victory. All right, chosen one, breathe. Now you understand that what looked like a fragile flaw was actually a crafted diversion, a decoy meant to slow your stride just before you ran. I have watched many reach this turning, and I tell you this with the weight of witness. The moment you name the trap, you loosen it. Still, the question presses at your ribs. What comes after this? In the minutes ahead, I will take you beyond symptom to source, beyond heat to holy fire, so you can see why temptation swells precisely when you are closest to freedom. Stay with me. The true enemy is about to be exposed, not your body, not your longing, but the sabotage of your focus and the theft of your direction. Let me speak clearly. Sexual desire is not the villain of your story. It is a sacred instrument. You were given a flame, not to fear it, but to learn where it belongs. Desire is a door. A door is not evil. It is simply dangerous when it opens into a cliff. Within a covenant, with awareness, at the right time, this desire becomes a hymn to life, a vow sung with skin and spirit. But when the flame is hidden, hurried, isolated, or fueled by fantasy, it burns without blessing. The altar matters. If the altar is secrecy, the smoke will choke you. If the altar is purity, the fire will warm a household and light a path for others. Listen closely. The enemy rarely ruins you in public, he erodes you in private. Every solitary surrender, every harmless scroll, every image nursed in silence, these are not isolated moments, they are permissions. A door opens, something spiritual crosses the threshold. You feel it after the dopamine fades. A strange emptiness, a thinning of your courage, a fog around your decisions, as if some essential brightness has been traded for relief that evaporates like mist. This is why the aftertaste feels like loss. It is not just release, it is exchange. You give away clarity to borrow comfort, and the bill comes due in distraction. But hear me, you are not broken, you are at war, and the war is not against desire, it is for its direction. Your task is not to snuff out the flame, but to enthrone it. This is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each of you know how to control your own body in holiness and honor. 1 Thessalonians 4:3-4. Sanctification is not shaming the body, it is training the instrument. Desire under discipline becomes devotion. The same intensity that once scattered you can now send you. I have seen what triggers this storm. Spiritually, it is precision warfare. Psychologically, it is conditioning. Neural pathways like footpaths through a field deepen with traffic. The brain, generous and efficient, says, "You seem to want this route, I'll pave it." Hebbian learning ties the cue to the craving. Loneliness, boredom, stress, the ache of unspoken grief, even the rush of success. Then comes the cue craving ritual regret loop. But your loop is not your Lord. You can cut new paths. Walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh, writes Paul, Galatians 5:16. Notice the order. Walk first, gratify second. Formation precedes freedom. You ask, why does it intensify just before I break free? Because spiritual systems resist phase change. In physics, matter clings to its state until a threshold. Then, suddenly, ice becomes water. Your soul is approaching that threshold. Don't mistake the storm for failure. It is the last protest of a regime about to fall. The enemy does not fear your past, he fears your alignment. He knows that once your flame is aimed, you will carry warmth into cold rooms and light into shuttered lives. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. James 4:7-8. Resistance is not a wall, it is a direction. Draw near, and watch what loosens. Let me offer a vision. Imagine the same intensity you carry now, but clarified, covenantal, fearless. I can almost see you. Posture lifted, eyes bright, a quiet authority that steadies rooms. Your body becomes what Scripture calls a sanctuary. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? You are not your own, you were bought with a price. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Temples are not silent stone, they are resonant chambers, tuned to amplify holy sound. Desire, refined, becomes resonance. When you step, others hear a frequency of rest. Some will not understand this road. Few have the language for a war this tender, but there are witnesses. Street. Augustine, who knew the riot of his own longings, confessed, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you." He did not kill his hunger, he aimed it. And Pope John Paul II, reflecting on the theology of the body, wrote of eros as a yearning that must be purified so it can become gift, not grasping, but giving. The artist Marc Chagall often painted lovers floating above villages, desire lifted, not erased, love becoming altitude. This is what God intends. Eros, ascending into agape, longing becoming lift. There is music for this ascent. Hildegard of Bingen composed chants she called living light, notes that rise like prayer and fall like blessing. Think of your practice like such a chant. Simple, repeated, sanctifying. Courage in the morning, confession at night, community in the middle. Guard your inputs, curate your atmospheres, bless your body with rest and real touch in holy relationships. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Guarding is not hiding, it is stewarding the gates. Let me offer 2 lessons I learned the long way. First, clarity accelerates recovery. When I stopped calling it a little slip and named it a misdirected offering, my soul stopped defending it and started grieving it, and grief is honest enough to change. Second, consecration expands capacity. The more I set apart my attention for God, the more room I had for people, not as props for my comfort, but as persons to be honored. Holiness didn't shrink me, it made me spacious. Still, there will be days of ache. On those days pray not only for strength, but for rearrangement. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51:10. Clean hearts are not sterile, they are aligned. Ask for a clean imagination. Ask for holy timing. Ask for the courage to tell the truth sooner. Truth told early is mercy. And when shame tries to muffle your prayer, remember, conviction draws you close. Condemnation drives you off the porch. Your Father is not frowning from a window, he is already on the steps. I speak now to that secret fear, the one that whispers, "Will I ever be free?" You will. Freedom is not the absence of appetite, it is mastery of meaning. Every time you refuse secrecy and choose light, you are retuning your instrument. Every time you trade fantasy for prayer, you are rewiring desire to sing with purpose. And when the surge returns at the edge of breakthrough, do not panic, name it, breathe, bless your body, change your posture, text your ally, step into air and sunlight. Heaven is not embarrassed by your biology, heaven is committed to your wholeness. I can almost hear your next question rising like a tide. What is the trigger beneath the trigger? Often it is unlamented grief, unspoken loneliness, fatigue masquerading as failure, or the ancient script that says affection must be earned. You are not a problem to fix, you are a person to love. Let God love you at the speed of your breath. Let friends love you at the speed of your honesty. And when the night comes with its old choreography, remember the promise. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces shall never be ashamed. Psalm 34:5. Shame cannot survive sustained attention to God. When the enemy circles again, and he will do not negotiate, enthrone the flame, turn your face like flint, and pray aloud, even softly, Spirit of God, tune me to your will. Then step into your ordinary holiness. Water a plant, wash a dish, write a paragraph, take a walk, message a brother or sister. Holiness loves small doors, and if the weight lingers, kneel. Knees are the shortest path to clarity. Now we arrive at the hinge. Why does he not fear your past? Because it is sealed. What truly terrifies him is what comes next when a chosen one aims their longing households healed, children blessed, the lonely welcomed, creativity reborn, marriages renewed, cities steadied. This is why the pressure spikes at thresholds, but you are not alone at the door. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Stillness is not passivity, it is posture. Stand in it. Let God pass through you like light through stained glass. And now, be quiet with me for a breath. Feel your heart slow. Notice the warmth in your chest that isn't shame and isn't fear. It is the witness of the Spirit, steady and kind. The battlefield has become a sanctuary. Your desire has not died, it has bowed. Leave this moment with a single, simple vow. My flame will live on the right altar. When you're ready, speak to the community. What have you learned about your triggers? Where did God meet you in the ache? What new altar is he inviting you to build in your habits, your relationships, your timing? Share your light, chosen one. Someone else is waiting at the door, hands trembling on the handle, listening for a voice like yours to say, "Come through, the air is clean on the other side." There is a mystery inside you, a flame that refuses to die even after storms have soaked every inch of your soul. You have felt it, that gentle heat beneath the ashes, the quiet pulse that keeps beating long after you thought you'd lost the will to rise again. That is the inner fire, the signature of heaven. And yet, so many of the chosen grow weary, not because their fire is gone, but because they no longer understand how to feed it. The greatest deception is not extinguishment, it is starvation. The enemy cannot steal your flame, but he can dull your appetite for its fuel. The fire that burns in you is not emotional enthusiasm, it is divine chemistry. The book of Jeremiah 20:9 describes it perfectly. His word was in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I was weary of holding it in, and indeed I could not. That fire is God's breath trapped inside human ribcage, an eternal element contained within mortal matter. When the spirit aligns with truth, the oxygen of obedience meets the spark of faith, and the soul becomes combustion itself. But when distraction seeps in, when compromise poisons the air, the flame suffocates slowly, not in noise but in neglect. I have seen chosen ones mistake emotion for presence. They chase spiritual highs the way others chase adrenaline, confusing goosebumps for glory. But the true fire does not always roar. Sometimes it hums. Sometimes it hides in silence, burning steady beneath the surface. It is not lost, it is resting, yet this resting fire must be tended. Leviticus 6:13 declares, "The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar, it shall never go out." In ancient temples, priests would rise before dawn to feed that flame, not because God would leave if they didn't, but because man forgets quickly what continual devotion feels like. So what keeps this inner fire alive? It is not perfection, it is proximity. The flame feeds on what you stay close to. Worship is wood, discipline is oil, gratitude is oxygen, and purity, that rarest element, is the glass that protects the flame from the wind. When you stay near truth, your spirit breathes clean air. When you linger near lies, smoke fills your lungs, and you call it fatigue. That is why purity matters, not as a rule, but as a rhythm. The reason many chosen ones stumble, even when they love God deeply, is not rebellion, it is imbalance. They try to sustain divine fire with human fuel effort, without intimacy, service without stillness, zeal without rest. But a candle can burn itself out trying to light the world. Remember Elijah. After calling down fire from heaven, he collapsed beneath a tree and asked to die. 1 Kings 19:5 says, "He lay down under the broom tree and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, 'Get up and eat.' Even prophets need bread. Even warriors need rest." The enemy knows this, which is why he attacks your rhythms, not just your morals. Artists have always understood this law of rhythm. Beethoven wrote that silence is what makes music holy. Without rest, sound becomes noise. In the same way, the chosen who never pause for stillness soon mistake burnout for backsliding. The fire doesn't need constant shouting, it needs consistent tending. Prayer is not a sprint, it is a hearthstone turned every morning. Another reason many stumble is confusion between calling and control. The chosen one carries light, but forgets they are not its source. The fire belongs to God, you are only its vessel. When you begin to believe that your worth depends on how brightly you burn, pride enters like dust on a mirror, the reflection fades. That is why John 15:5 remains a compass. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Connection, not performance, sustains the flame. I remember reading a letter by the physicist Nikola Tesla, who said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." He was describing a physical truth that mirrors a spiritual one. The soul is an antenna. When you isolate yourself, the signal weakens. When you align with heaven's frequency, revelation flows. The fire within listens to the wavelength of surrender. And yet, surrender terrifies most people. It feels like extinction. To lay down your weapons, your desires, your defenses, it feels like stepping into a void. But it is there, in that holy void, that the fire breathes deepest. Michelangelo once said that he saw the angel in the marble and carved until he set him free. God does the same with you. Each trial, each temptation, each pruning is his chisel, revealing your original design. Pain is not punishment, it is precision. The inner fire is also sustained by remembrance. Forgetting is a form of spiritual amnesia that kills more chosen ones than sin ever will. When you forget what God already carried you through, every new battle feels final. The psalmist wrote in Psalm 77:11, "I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago." Memory rekindles meaning. Gratitude reignites hope. The fire that was flickering begins to breathe again, whispering, "I am still here." No stunning. But what of those who stumble repeatedly, who wake up with guilt heavier than armor and believe the flame has gone out for good? Listen, embers are still fire. The smallest spark can rebuild the blaze. Grace is the bellows of heaven. When you whisper, "Help," heaven exhales. The very desire to return proves that you are still connected to the source. You have not lost your fire. You have only forgotten how to look for the light beneath the ashes. And why does the enemy fear this flame so much? Because it is contagious. One chosen heart, fully ignited, exposes 10,000 lies. When your spirit burns with love and truth, darkness cannot negotiate. It must retreat. This is why the opposition grows strongest right before renewal. Fire spreads fastest at the edge of forests, long untouched. Your endurance becomes the spark for a generation. Now hear this truth as it settles. The fire within you is not fragile, it is eternal. It was lit by the same hand that scattered the stars. Even when you stumble, it flickers but does not die. Every confession fans it, every act of forgiveness feeds it. Every moment you choose humility over pride, patience over panic, the flame expands. You are not merely trying to stay lit, you are learning to become light. There will be seasons when the flame feels hidden, when devotion feels dry and prayer feels mechanical. Do not mistake dryness for distance. Fire sometimes burrows beneath coals to survive the storm. In those moments, do what the priests did. Tend the altar anyway. Worship through weariness. Offer obedience even when emotion is absent. Faith is not proven in warmth, it is proven in waiting. Soon, when the winds calm, you will see the glow again. It will be deeper, steadier, less dependent on applause, more anchored in awe. You will speak differently. Your presence will feel like peace, not performance. That is what heaven calls maturity, not louder flame, but longer burn. So remember, chosen one, the secret to keeping your fire alive is not fighting harder, but staying closer. Feed your spirit with silence and scripture. Surround yourself with truth speakers. Rest when your soul trembles, and rise again. Philippians 1-6 promises, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." You are still the work. You are still the altar. And the fire will not go out. When you finish hearing these words, take a breath. Feel the warmth in your chest. That is not emotion, it is evidence. The light still lives in you. Protect it, share it. Let others gather around it, because somewhere another weary chosen one is wandering through their night, looking for proof that the fire can survive. And when they see the glow in your eyes, they will remember what they'd forgotten, that no darkness, however long, can extinguish a flame lit by heaven. This is how you know there is something powerful over your life. The shadows recognize you before the crowd does. Do you truly think darkness wastes time on those who pose no threat? Hell only sends its reinforcements toward what carries divine weight. Temptation, therefore, is not humiliation, it is identification. The very fact that the battle rages around you means that heaven has already placed a mark upon your name. You have been seen, recognized, and yes, targeted. But not because you are broken, because you are luminous. The enemy studies the light that burns in you, that rare frequency of purpose that cannot be forged by human will. He knows what you carry, and he trembles at the day you learn how to use it. That is why the struggle feels so personal. The precision of your temptations is not random, it is surveillance turned into strategy. The enemy has watched your patterns, traced your wounds, noted where pain echoes loudest. And with every detail, he builds the perfect storm not to destroy you at once, but to make you surrender gradually through shame and exhaustion. It is not the fall he seeks, it is the silence that follows. For when you believe you are disqualified, you stop speaking light into the world. You hide your fire under the dust of self-doubt. You shrink, you delay, you lose the rhythm of your destiny. And in that quiet withdrawal, the darkness rests satisfied. But I tell you this, temptation does not disqualify you. It exposes the magnitude of your calling. Every chain that rattles today is proof that liberation is near. Every whisper of fear is because hell already knows the sound of your future roar. You are sacred, not fragile. The scars on your spirit are not evidence of failure, but of endurance. Romans 8:37 declares, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." And if breath still moves through you, heaven is still writing. Your existence itself is defiance. The fact that you are still here, still reaching, still listening, means that the enemy's plan has already failed. You are becoming a version of yourself that hell never wanted to exist, a soul conscious of its authority. So let this truth echo louder than the doubt that tries to haunt you. You are not being attacked because you are weak. You are being attacked because you have been chosen. The weight you feel is not condemnation. It is evidence of calling. The flame that flickers in you is the same flame that ignites prophets and poets, warriors and healers. And like every sacred fire, it demands to be refined. That refinement often comes through fasting. Fasting is not punishment. It is a sacred recalibration. It is the moment you press the mute button on the voice of the flesh and amplify the whisper of the spirit. It is the art of subtraction that leads to revelation. When you fast, you are not rejecting your body. You are reminding it that it is not the ruler. You are reordering the kingdom within you, placing spirit on the throne and appetite at its feet. In that stillness, heaven finds space to speak again. Matthew 6:17-18 teaches, "But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you." Fasting, then, is intimacy, a private conversation between Creator and creation. There is a hidden science in fasting, a divine architecture that touches both body and soul. When you abstain, your physical cells begin a process called autophagy, a cleansing, a removal of what no longer serves life. Spiritually, something similar unfolds. Old thoughts die, false desires decompose, and the soul begins to regenerate. Fasting is God's way of teaching you how to make room for what is eternal. Isaiah 58:6 asks, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen to loose the chains of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free?" The physical act becomes a spiritual declaration. Freedom begins with emptiness. During a fast, every craving that surfaces is not simply hunger, it is revelation. The body reveals where the soul still clings. The stomach growls not only for food but for forgotten comfort, control, approval. Fasting unearths what distraction buried. That is why it feels so hard. It is not deprivation, it is unveiling. You begin to see how many of your impulses were not truly yours, and that awareness, though uncomfortable, is sacred illumination. There are doors you can only pass through with a purified heart. The ancient mystics understood this well. Street. John of the Cross wrote that, "To come to the knowledge you have not, you must go by a way in which you know not." Fasting is that way, the path of unknowing that opens the gates of divine knowing. When the noise of the world fades, the hidden symphony of heaven becomes audible again. You start to sense subtle things, peace that doesn't depend on outcome, direction that doesn't require proof. Modern psychology agrees with this mystery in its own language. When the body enters restraint, neural patterns shift, dopamine recalibrates, the brain learns delayed gratification, a scientific echo of spiritual obedience. You teach your nervous system that desire does not dictate identity. You reprogram your chemistry to trust stillness more than stimulation, and in that alignment, clarity returns like dawn. This is why fasting is both warfare and worship. Every time you say no to impulse, you are saying yes to destiny. Every time you choose prayer over distraction, heaven expands its voice within you. Fasting is not the silence of emptiness, it is the silence of preparation. You are clearing the stage for God to perform his next act in your life. Beethoven once said that music is the silence between notes. In the same way, fasting is the holiness between blessings, the pause where divine composition gathers breath before releasing new melody. It is not about earning miracles, it is about hearing them. Because when you fast, perception sharpens. You begin to recognize the difference between delay and direction, between waiting and wasting, between testing and transformation. And yes, you will feel resistance. The flesh protests, memories resurface, old patterns tempt you to quit. But remember what Matthew 4:1-2 reveals. Even Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested, and after fasting 40 days and nights, he was hungry. The wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. If even the Son of God met the enemy there, how much more sacred is your hunger when it carries his purpose? When your stomach aches, let it remind you, even the ache can be holy. Every hunger pang is a bell ringing you back to awareness. Every moment of craving is an invitation to re-anchor yourself in what truly satisfies. And when the fast ends, you will not only feel lighter, you will be clearer. The weight that leaves your body mirrors the burdens leaving your soul. You will sense a quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to shout. It is peace, authority disguised as calm. So when you fast, do it not as punishment, but as proclamation. You are announcing to every realm, visible and invisible, that you belong to heaven, not habit. You are declaring, I will not be ruled by urges that cannot see beyond the moment. This is the sacred logic of discipline. It breaks the illusion that freedom is indulgence. True freedom is governance over one's own kingdom. When you end the fast, look at yourself gently. The body that once felt heavy now moves lighter, not just from lack of food, but from abundance of clarity. The mind quiets, the heart steadies, the eyes sharpen. This is what it means to live in divine resonance. The Spirit hums within you again, unmuted, unashamed, unhindered. Remember Psalm 63:1. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. That thirst is sacred proof that your spirit still longs for its source. So, chosen one, never despise hunger. It is the doorway to holiness. Fast not to punish yourself, but to remember your strength. Pray not to earn favor, but to breathe alignment. Every act of restraint writes a new pattern into eternity. And when the temptation to give up whispers, remember, fasting doesn't weaken you, it awakens you. Because in the stillness of an empty stomach, the Spirit finds a throne. And when the Spirit reigns, nothing else can. And this is where something quietly unsettling enters the story, the truth about community. It's easy to talk about fasting, purity, private battles between soul and flesh. Those are sacred. But there comes a moment when the Spirit whispers something harder, something that rubs against pride and self-protection. You are not meant to fight alone. That truth can feel sharp, even invasive, because shame has a way of convincing you that isolation is safety. Shame says, hide, stay silent, handle it yourself. It dresses secrecy as strength, but the longer you stay in the dark, the more the darkness feels like home. You start thinking solitude is holiness, but in reality, it's camouflage, a quiet stage where the enemy performs unchecked. Hell loves silence. It thrives when you stop confessing, when you stop reaching. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 declares, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But when you're alone, who pulls you from the ground?" Isolation turns every whisper into thunder. Thoughts echo louder in empty rooms. What was once a single mistake becomes a chorus of accusations. The enemy doesn't always destroy with temptation. Sometimes he destroys with secrecy. Because if no one knows your struggle, no one can stand beside you when the night grows thick. Yet the moment you speak, the spell begins to break. You disarm what hides by naming it. James 5:16 says, "Confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed." Notice that it doesn't say forgiven, but healed. Forgiveness comes from God. Healing comes through others. Healing through others, that is the design of heaven. The divine never intended for transformation to happen in isolation. Even the holiest stories unfold in community. Moses had Aaron, David had Jonathan, Ruth had Naomi. Jesus sent his disciples 2 by 2. The church was never meant to be a monument of individuals, but a living network of interceding souls. In that network, grace multiplies. When you step into that light, when you allow someone to see your reality without performance, something inside you begins to realign. Responsibility becomes a weapon, not a weight. It's not about public confession for spectacle. It's about holy transparency that anchors your progress in accountability. Darkness loses its oxygen when truth enters the room. Psychologists say that unspoken shame lives in the amygdala, the part of the brain that processes threat. When you verbalize your struggle, you move it from the limbic system to the prefrontal cortex, from panic to processing. In spiritual terms, confession transforms chaos into language, and language allows light to enter. You are not simply talking about your struggle, you are translating it into clarity. I once heard someone say that secrets rot faster than corpses. It struck me because secrets don't just die quietly, they decay and spread. But the moment they are exposed to light, decay stops. Jesus said in John 3:20-21, "Everyone who does evil hates the light. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God." The light does not come to shame, it comes to heal. And still, we resist it. We fear that being seen means being judged. But true community is not a courtroom, it's a hospital. The ones who walk with you through the valley are not jury members, they are co-healers. Galatians 6:2 reminds us, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." Carrying burdens does not mean fixing them. It means standing near enough that weight becomes bearable. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is let someone hold your hand while you breathe. Think of it like resonance in music. When two tuning forks vibrate near each other, one can cause the other to hum without being touched. That is community in spiritual frequency. When you draw close to those who carry light, your own flame finds rhythm again. Isolation muffles your resonance. Connection amplifies it. Artists throughout time have captured this mystery of shared healing. In Rembrandt's paintings, light always touches multiple faces, never just one. Even in his depiction of Christ, the glow spreads outward, suggesting that divinity reveals itself most clearly when it illuminates others. Your redemption is not a solo performance, it's a shared portrait, painted in mercy. Still, the discomfort lingers, doesn't it? Opening your heart feels dangerous, like stepping into a room with no armor. But that vulnerability is what faith really means. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to speak anyway. When you tell the truth about where you are, you invite grace to enter where it's needed most. Hidden wounds can't heal, and hidden hearts can't harmonize. Community, then, is not optional, it's sacred infrastructure. Heaven itself is community. Father, Son, Spirit, an eternal exchange of love. You were created in that image, meant to reflect relational wholeness. When you isolate yourself, you starve part of your divine design. You begin to echo only your own voice. But when you connect, truly connect, something ancient in your soul exhales. Even the wilderness, which seems solitary, is filled with voices. Wind, sand, angels, whispers. When Elijah fled into despair, hiding in a cave, God asked, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" 1 Kings 19-9-10. Notice that question. Not, "What have you done?" but "What are you doing here?" God was not condemning Elijah's exhaustion, he was calling him back to communion. Shortly after, Elijah found Elisha, his companion, his successor, his friend. Even prophets need people. So, bring your pain into the light. Let trusted hearts witness it, because what is exposed loses its dominion. The first moment you tell the truth, hell loses a foothold. Confession is not the end of grace. It is the echo of grace catching up to you. And as you walk with others, something miraculous begins to happen. The same voice that once accused you, "You are too broken, too unworthy," begins to fade. In its place rises a different sound. Laughter in small rooms, prayer in shared silence, eyes that understand without judgment. That is what heaven sounds like on earth. So, chosen one, stop hiding behind strength. Let yourself be known. The people sent to help you are not threats. They are proof that God refuses to let you fall alone. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Sparks may fly, yes, but those sparks make fire. And that fire, shared and sustained, becomes the warmth that keeps you alive through every night. When you allow others to see your humanity, your holiness deepens. When you confess, you return to truth. And when you walk together, you become a living testimony that grace was never meant to be whispered in solitude. It was meant to echo in community. Never forget this. The flesh is noisy, restless, and persuasive, but the spirit carries a deeper strength that no storm can drown. The impulses of the body may scream for attention, the mind may echo old memories that sting, but the spirit within you has a tone that cannot be imitated. Quiet, sovereign, certain. 1 John 4:4 says, "He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." That verse is not theory, it is your heartbeat in written form. Temptation loves volume. It shouts because it has no substance. It demands urgency because it fears reflection. But truth never rushes. It waits like light at dawn. The Holy Spirit, even speaking softly, carries an authority that silences everything else. His whisper does what no thunder can. It recenters the soul. When he speaks, confusion loses its vocabulary. And here lies the secret the enemy hopes you never uncover. Shame does not cure desire. Guilt cannot transform what it only condemns. What heals is truth, the kind of truth that does not humiliate but realigns, the truth that holds you steady enough to look at your weakness without becoming it. John 8:32 declares, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Notice not your effort, not your penance, but knowledge of truth. Freedom is not earned, it is recognized. So, when that familiar voice returns, hissing, "You will fall again," do not argue. Declare instead, "I am a new creation." 2 Corinthians 5:17 promises, "If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." Say it until the atmosphere adjusts. Every declaration rewrites the frequency around you. The tongue has power, both in physics and in faith. Words create resonance. Vibration shapes reality. When you speak identity over temptation, you shift from reaction to authority. When accusation rises, "Is this who you are?" Answer, "I was set apart by God." That statement is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are naming yourself according to heaven's registry, not history's rumor. 1 Peter 2-9 affirms, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." Well, 18. And when that last whisper crawls through your mind, "Now you've gone too far," respond with the language of grace. Grace found me, mercy sustained me, and I am still standing. For Lamentations 3:22-23 says, "Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning." Every sunrise is proof that mercy still renews its covenant with you. This is the discipline of the Spirit, not to deny the noise of the flesh, but to outlast it. The body and its desires are not enemies. They are instruments awaiting tuning. Just as a musician learns to quiet the resonance of a string before striking the next note, so too must the chosen soul learn when to let silence do the work. The Spirit is that stillness between impulses, the pause that holds power. And here, the question arises softly in your chest. What if the noise you've been fighting was never meant to be silenced, but transformed into harmony? Psychologists describe the mind's noise as cognitive interference. Spirituality describes it as warfare. But both agree on one truth. Focus determines experience. Where attention goes, energy flows. When you attend to the Spirit instead of the spiral, you alter the chemistry of your soul. Fasting, prayer, breath, these are not rituals for approval. They are acts of attention, ways of choosing which frequency you will amplify. And when you falter, remember this. Holiness is not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to surrender identity within it. A saint is not someone who never falls, but one who knows which direction to fall toward grace. Psalm 37:23-24 reminds us, "Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." Even your collapse lands in divine hands. So speak truth even when you don't feel it. Declarations are not denial, they are alignment. The first time you say, "I am new," your body might still tremble, your habits may resist, your history may protest. Say it again. Each repetition pulls another root of shame from the soil. Eventually, truth grows louder than trauma. Caravaggio, the painter who lived between light and darkness, once said that he painted with tenebrism, deep contrasts where shadows make light visible. In your life, the same principle holds. The darkness that tried to define you is now the backdrop against which your radiance is revealed. Grace does not erase contrast, it redeems it. But ask yourself, what if every shadow you feared was actually framing the brilliance within you? There will be nights when the old noise returns, when the body remembers, when the mind replays, when silence feels heavy. In those moments, resist the urge to panic. Instead, breathe and let the Spirit breathe through you. Romans 8:26 says, "The Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought. But the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words." When your language fails, heaven still speaks your name. In time, you will begin to notice the change. The same temptations will appear, but they will sound different, smaller, thinner, less convincing. You will sense authority replacing anxiety. What used to feel like a test will become a testimony. You will walk into rooms, and the atmosphere will shift, not because you are loud, but because peace travels with you. This is what it means to live redeemed, not untouched by struggle, but untouched by despair. Grace does not erase your past, it reauthors it. The chapters the enemy meant for shame become the verses of your song, and your song will carry power precisely because it was once silence. Then, one more question quietly blooms like a prayer. When grace speaks your name, will you finally believe it? So, chosen one, keep your head high. When the flesh makes noise, let it. When the Spirit speaks, listen. Let the gentle voice of God steady your heartbeat and rewrite your reflexes. The more you walk with truth, the quieter the lies become. And when that still, small voice within you says, "You are mine," do not doubt it. Believe it the way stars believe in their own light. Believe it the way morning trusts the horizon. Because even when everything else in you trembles, that one truth remains unshaken. Grace found you, mercy sustained you, and you are still standing. You are not weak. You are not trapped by your past. You are not a victim of your mistakes. You carry the pulse of eternity inside your chest. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, Romans 8:11, breathes through you even now. Think of that for a moment. Resurrection power, not a symbol, but a current alive within your bones. If such power dwells in you, then survival is no longer your goal, transformation is. You do not simply endure the battle, you change its laws. You reclaim what was stolen, heal what was broken, and rewrite patterns that have haunted your lineage for generations. Freedom ceases to be a concept. It becomes your fragrance. Wherever you walk, chains remember how to break. And yes, when a chosen one awakens, hell panics. You can almost feel it, that sudden pressure in the air, that resistance before breakthrough. But it's not fear you're feeling, it's confirmation. The darkness trembles because it recognizes that you finally remember who you are. When light remembers its nature, shadows lose their occupation. Ephesians 6:12 reminds you, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Yet you were never meant to wrestle as a slave. You fight as one who already carries victory in your DNA. Now, there is one last truth that seals everything, a revelation meant to awaken what has long been dormant inside you. You were never just meant to survive darkness, you were meant to govern it. Matthew 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world." Light does not negotiate with shadows, it defines them. Your presence changes spiritual geography. The very ground beneath your feet becomes testimony that redemption walked here. But how often have you forgotten this? How many times have you looked at your scars and mistaken them for weakness instead of weaponry? So let me ask you, what if the very pain you've prayed away is the training that gave your spirit its edge? Every battle has been shaping your discernment, refining your compassion, deepening your authority. The war was never just about your failure, it was about your formation. The enemy attacked what heaven anointed, but in doing so, he forged in you a wisdom he cannot counterfeit. Now you see differently, you walk differently, you love deeper. You understand that true warriors are not defined by armor, but by endurance. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 whispers your biography. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. You were struck, but not destroyed, and that difference is everything. Somewhere inside you, a voice still asks softly, "Can I really carry that much light? Can someone like me become a vessel of divine authority?" Listen carefully, that doubt is not humility, it's residue. The question doesn't disqualify you. It reveals where grace intends to grow next. The spirit within you is not fragile, it's fire. And the purpose of fire is not just to illuminate, it purifies and creates warmth for others. Leonardo da Vinci once said that darkness is never total, for even the faintest light bends it. He understood what heaven has known all along. Darkness is not the opposite of light, it is its canvas. Without darkness, illumination has nowhere to display itself. In the same way, the battles that once shamed you are now the backdrop for glory. So what does it mean to be a warrior in this age of distraction? It means to be present fiercely, tenderly present in a world numbed by noise. It means you guard your peace as if it were gold, because it is. It means you speak life where others repeat despair. Isaiah 61:1 declares the prophecy now fulfilled in you. "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners." This is your mantle. This is the reason the fight was so intense, because you were never meant to just walk out of bondage. You were meant to lead others out with you. But before you move forward, pause and ask yourself, what will you do with the freedom you've been given? Will you hide it behind humility or wield it as healing? Will you carry your fire silently, or will you let it ignite the hearts of those still wandering? Remember, authority unused becomes decay. You were not given power to keep it private. This is the final revelation. Your awakening was never meant to end with you. The victory within you is generational. Your deliverance will echo through family lines, friendships, and strangers you may never meet. Every time you forgive, cycles break. Every time you love without fear, atmospheres shift. Every time you speak truth, destinies realign. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are rewriting it. And when you stand in that awareness, when you finally realize that the same spirit that resurrected Christ now animates your every breath, you stop fighting for survival and start building sanctuaries. You stop seeking signs and start becoming them. That is when heaven smiles, because the mission was never just to save you, it was to awaken you. So, listen closely, chosen one. Pay attention. The war is no longer about whether you are enough. It is about whether you will believe what God has already spoken over you. And in that belief, everything changes. Your scars become maps, your tears become anointing oil, your voice becomes trumpet and medicine. Now ask yourself one last question. If the spirit that raised the dead truly lives in me, how could I ever live like I am dying? Stand tall, breathe deeply. You have been anointed for this very hour. Let the revelation settle in your bones. You were never just saved from something, you were saved for something. And that something is unfolding now, not in some distant future, but in this breath, this heartbeat, this sacred moment where heaven whispers your true name, warrior. This war you're facing was never sent to destroy you. It came to mold you. Every fall, every temptation, every night you cried, believing you were unworthy, all of it was proof that something sacred lives within you. You were not being punished, you were being purified. The fire that surrounded you wasn't meant to burn you down, it was meant to burn away what could no longer stay. Isaiah 48:10 says, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. Every tear was alchemy, every trial a shaping of divine purpose. You are being persecuted because you are set apart. You are a target because you are dangerous to hell. Your very presence disturbs the systems of darkness that profit from numbness. You are attacked because your calling carries a sound that echoes through eternity, a vibration that shakes the unseen. John 15:19 says, If you were of the world would love you as its own, but because you are not of the world, I chose you out of the world. Therefore the world hates you. You are not being rejected by accident, you are being revealed by opposition. And now your eyes are open. What once looked like chaos now looks like curriculum. You understand it was never only about desire, it was about legacy. It was never just temptation, it was training. What felt like warfare was in fact worship, the breaking open of your spirit to release something ancient, something eternal. This battle is proof of your inheritance. You are not dirty, you are not disqualified. You are not beyond redemption. You are sacred ground, holy territory, and hell knows it. But here's the truth hell never calculated: that you would rise, that you would awaken in the middle of the storm and decide, I will no longer fight with flesh, I will fight with spirit. And when that decision is made, everything begins to shift. Chains don't simply loosen, they dissolve. Cycles don't just pause, they break. And a new rhythm of grace begins to guide your steps. Ephesians 6:13 says, Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. You are standing now, not because you are invincible, but because grace is. So pause and ask yourself, what if every battle you thought was punishment was actually preparation for what you prayed for? The truth is, the war was never about destroying your joy. It was about distracting you from your authority. The enemy never feared your weakness, he feared your awakening. Because once you remember who you are, once you realize that you are not fighting for victory but from victory, everything changes. Your prayers shift from panic to power. Your tears turn from grief to gratitude, and the same battlefield that once terrified you becomes sacred ground beneath your feet. You begin to see how every wound was a doorway, every scar a map, even your failures become fuel for wisdom. Like a phoenix rising from ashes, you find that resurrection doesn't happen in silence, it happens in surrender. Romans 8:28 whispers this eternal rhythm, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. Even what was meant to harm you has been drafted into heaven's plan to refine you. You were never weak. You were always chosen. You were never disqualified. You were being qualified in secret. The battlefield was your classroom. The nights of silence were your initiation. Every unanswered prayer was not denial, but timing. And now, that which tried to bury you has become the soil where your roots go deep. But can you feel it? That quiet strength rising inside you? The gentle hum of purpose awakening again? The spirit whispering that nothing has been wasted, that every failure is compost for future fruit? Then ask yourself this: what if what you lost wasn't taken from you, but entrusted to time until you were ready to carry it rightly? Because now you are. You are no longer the same. You walk with the memory of mercy and the authority of grace. You have learned that holiness is not perfection, it is resilience rooted in love. When others see ruins, heaven sees a foundation. You have become living proof of 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your weakness didn't disqualify you. It revealed the doorway through which divine power entered. And this is transformation. Not that the storm ends, but that you learn to walk on its waves. You sharpen your sword, not to harm, but to heal, not to wound, but to protect. Your truth becomes your weapon, your compassion, your shield. The warrior in you no longer fights for recognition, but for restoration. As Michelangelo once said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." God has been doing the same with you. The blows you felt were not judgment, they were precision. Every strike of pain was the sculptor's hand, revealing what was always inside: the warrior, the priest, the poet, the healer. So, lift your head, straighten your spine. The light that burns within you is not for decoration, it's for direction. Your scars are not disfigurements, they are coordinates that guide others home. And when you walk, creation remembers who commands the dawn. Psalm 27:1 declares, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" This battle is not your end, it is the announcement of your beginning. The storm was never your grave, it was your gate. The moment you thought was collapse was really commissioning. And now heaven stands, waiting, watching as you step forward into your rightful place, not as a survivor, but as a builder of freedom. So, chosen one last question before you move on. Now that you know who you are, will you finally live like it? Walk in truth, walk in peace, walk with your sword of spirit and your heart of fire. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your presence. Let your life declare what hell tried to silence, that grace wins, love endures, and light, no matter how surrounded by darkness, never forgets how to shine. So, now we have come full circle. You began this journey wondering why the battle felt so personal, why the desires were so intense, why the silence of God sometimes felt unbearable. But look at you now, standing, breathing, understanding. You see what the enemy feared all along, your awakening. You realize this was never just about temptation, it was about transformation. It was never about failure, it was about formation. The fire that once scared you now sanctifies you. The very places where you fell are becoming altars where grace will meet others through your story. This, chosen one, is what it means to be refined by divine fire, not destroyed, but defined. You have discovered that the weight of your struggle was never a curse. It was a crown in disguise. Every scar you carry now tells a story the heavens will echo for generations. You were not fighting for victory. You were remembering that victory had already been written into your name. Romans 8:37 says, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." That is not a metaphor, it is your identity. So take a breath. Let peace sit heavy on your chest for a moment. Feel that stillness that is not emptiness, its presence. The Holy Spirit never left you, even in the silence. He was molding your strength, sharpening your discernment, preparing you to carry what you once prayed for. Now, as you leave this message, you don't walk away from the battle. You walk differently through it. You no longer fear the noise of the flesh, because you've learned the melody of the Spirit. You no longer run from the storm, because you've realized you are the calm within it. And if this word found you today, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to remember, because there are others waiting to be reminded through you. So, if this message touched something inside your heart, if it awakened courage, conviction, or quiet peace, I invite you to let it echo forward. Share it with someone who might be fighting their own invisible war. Write in the comments what part spoke to you the most. Your words might be the healing someone else has been praying for. And if you've been walking with this channel for a while, thank you, truly. Whether you've supported through super thanks, prayers, or simply by listening in silence, your presence matters. Every like, every comment, every share is not just engagement, it's expansion. Together, we are building a space where the weary remember their worth, where the lost remember the sound of their own light. So if you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe, not just to a channel, but to a journey, one of awakening, of divine remembrance, of walking boldly as one of God's chosen. And as we close, receive this blessing. May your nights no longer be haunted by what once broke you. May your mornings begin with peace that cannot be explained. May your heart remember its divine rhythm, and your spirit never again forget its authority. May grace follow you in silence, mercy find you in motion, and light, that ancient, unshakable light, never leave your eyes again. Because you are chosen, you are covered, and you are becoming exactly who heaven intended you to be. Until next time, stay in the light, keep your spirit steady, and remember, the war was never to destroy you, it was to reveal you. God bless you, warrior.